So, hello. The lighting of this one is admittedly not great. My hair, pretty crazy. The brand of my outfit is called Forever Lazy. If you get a wild hair that you want to look this good, you know what I'm saying? This even has the butt pocket. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the year that the brand is called Lazy One. I think I have one called Forever Lazy. I'm not sure what this says about me. Yeah, we got a butt pocket here. Oh, the butt pocket even has, like, that is a serious butt pocket. We're talking like, whoa, butt pocket. Kind of pertaining to dreams and the dream world. It's actually so ridiculous that I don't know if I can take myself seriously at all in it. Not that I do take myself seriously ever in any way, shape, or form. But, oh, now we're really dark. See, speaking of lazy, I just really didn't want to get out the claw and everything. I'm really tired from my play. I'm doing this poetry every single day. So I can't with this. I'm gonna just be not in this ridiculous. I mean, come on. Like, this is the foot of it. It can't happen. We're done with that. Okay? We're done. In the realm of taking ourselves really seriously, we'll go through the butt flap here. Here. Now we are in the butt flap. Okay? That is how extremely elite and professional I am. I mean, look at that hair. Look at it go. Hi, me. Okay. So, yeah, pretty tired from my play. The hair is, whoa, just, wow. After a trip in that, whatever you call this, what is this fabric? Felted, fleecy polyester. It's just, whoo, my, okay. Yep, wild. So, I don't know. Sometimes I just have to be what it is that I am, because I'm cranking out the damn poems every single day. Can't even hold my phone properly. Okay, trying to maybe a pillow would, well, okay. I can do this. I'm extremely prepared, obviously, for this video right now. Can we prop on a pillow? A little bit of adequate light. Okay, I can't continue with the holding of the thing. Can you tell I'm a little out of it? 3 performances this week. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This hair just comes out from under a wig, and it does what it wants. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what I want it to do. It's got a mind. It's got its own attitude. It's quite rude at times. So I don't know. I just can't. I'm having one of those times where I just can't pick a state of being that feels like anything that anyone would want to be seeing. Just am I internet famous yet? Okay. Right. So, a lot of performing done this weekend. Obviously, you just can't even be speaking. From this very long weekend. So we're just going to leave the crazy hair. We're going to let it be what it is. We're going to dare to be what we are here, which is kind of an unprepared and confused person. Okay, we're being a little more light. I don't know if this will do anything. Not really. Ever so slightly. This is crazy. Okay. I didn't know. Sometimes it like creates this delicate wave. This is not what I would call that. This is more like, whoa, what have you got going on there? Sort of hair. What the hell have you got going on there? Hair. Okay. So, what's up? Hi. Hey. How do you do? How are you? I'm Teal. And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read you some poetry. Okay. I wrote this once again, voice to text on the way over to the theater. And then as I was sewing the bloody shirt I sew every night before anyone else got there at the theater, and then during intermission. That's how I did my poem yesterday and the day before. And here we are again. Did this one in the spare minutes I have where I'm not the countess. So, goddess bless it. Got some bad lighting and a bad headache. But there's a 365-day goal at stake. So we're going to keep it going. So I wrote this one about my dream state, my dream world, and how it often blurs with the other world, the world where our eyes are open. And I'm hoping somebody relates to this. But I gotta admit that sometimes it gets very weird to me, and I had some very heavy, perplexing, troubling dreams last night. Gave me quite a fright. Left me with some existential layers, residue. And I kind of felt all day like I couldn't quite get out of it. Like it was still in this sensation and in this feeling. And I was having trouble dealing with it and snapping back to and being like, yes, this is you and it's okay. And you're out of the dream now. Hooray. And that happens to me kind of a lot. If you saw a few weeks ago or whatever that was, a week ago, I don't know, I've completely lost track. But recently I wrote a poem about a dream state that was so intense, it kind of messed up my whole perception of what was tangible and what was trying to fool me and pull me in various states of existing, and I couldn't get out of it for quite a while. But yeah, I've got files and files of dreams that I remember, and I try to keep track of them, and there's stacks of them. And in high school, I did some dream journaling, and it got so intense that I was just remembering more and more and more and more and more every night that I couldn't quite participate in daily life. I was so sucked into what the dreams had to show me and throw at me, and I couldn't pay attention in school because it was like I was remembering like 17 dreams a night. Forgive me for my squinty eyes and my somewhat distracted, like I kind of sound like I'm talking, like, you know, when you're talking to someone on the phone and they have speakerphone on and you're trying to pretend like it's cool because you're like, well, they must be doing something. You know, they're like unloading their groceries or something, so that's why they have me on speakerphone. You don't want to complain, but your voice is echoing back to you the entire time, and so you're hearing yourself echoing and trying to formulate a thought at the same time, and your mind can't keep up. That's kind of like what this headache is doing to me right now. I'm like, wait, what was I saying? What am I saying now? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you get me. If you get me, then you get me. If you know, then you know. So, hey, whoa. So this is kind of just about that I deeply, truly, fully believe that I have become other people through the course of dreaming, woken up screaming, had aliens beaming me aboard, seen things that other people ignored from the past, been blasted into space, switched faces with someone else's face, tasted things that the real me has never tasted, just been wasted when I'm allergic to alcohol, been versions of me from previous me's, sailed the seven seas, like a lot of crazy shit, and interdimensional, and substances, changing from solid to liquid and back to a gas and into an ice, and characters who are nice and then not so nice, and just like being spliced into multiple people, and like it's a lot to keep up with sometimes. My dad would always be funny because I would try to relay my dreams to him every morning, and he would be like, "Are you still talking about the same dream?" Like 2 hours later. And yes, I would still be talking about the same one, trying to get through it. Still not be done by the time we were very much through with breakfast. So, hey, okay, yeah. Reckless abandon. Dreaming. I wish this headache would go away, but it's not going to. So I'll just say what I have to say. So this one's about dreams. I called it Hypothalamus Rush. Sometimes I get stuck and tangled in my dreams, and I wake up, or I think I wake up, with a panicked scream, and the certainty of reality seems to trickle in very slowly, and I get paranoid and wonder if my family knows me, or if I'm still in deep, stuck in my sleep state, waiting to awaken, taken hostage in some gingerbread cottage in another dimension. I should mention that this feeling can stick with me all day. And in those instances, it's like I'm stuck in a play that I've already done before. And I'm just not sure if my words are conscious choices, or if my voice is just a recording of some lines recited by a former character of mine. And little shudders go up my spine all day, wondering if the sky will suddenly start thundering with symphony sounds, or if the whole town will turn on me like they have in my dreamscape journeys. And it often takes a lot of convincing to return me to the mentality that the streets I'm walking are not, in fact, a fallacy or my overly imaginative thoughts. When this blur of consciousness occurs, my face gets hot and I go stir crazy looking at clocks, thinking they could go screwy and unreadable at any moment. Another component of these odd dreaming overlaps are that scenes and pictures that I was sure came from the dream suddenly seem woven into the tapestry of what everyone tells me is the waking truth. A woman in a purple dress acting aloof pops up out of nowhere, and I swear I've seen her walking through the invented pictures of my mind's imaginings. Then she softly sings a song to herself that I know I've felt the vibrations of so recently, and I'm increasingly convinced this is just the particles of awake and asleep, minced and stirred together. This is when I know I'm better off not telling anyone how I feel, because they'd merely scoff and say, "Oh, Teal." Sometimes the tether or the line between these undefined spaces is so real I can taste it. I mean, literally, the same taste sensations from a dream suddenly come over me, or over the surface of my tongue, I should say, and I'm spun into a torrent of unanswerable questions for the rest of the day. When I get away from something sinister chasing me or trying to administer a terrible test on me in what is supposed to be my resting state, there is often a great fear that this same force or scary face is after me while I'm awake. I take deep breaths and all those other mindful suggestions so as not to let myself believe some bad guy from the dream world is messing with me. But these shadowy figures often have a way of appearing in my visual periphery, even when I'm in a good mood, unsuspectingly going about my business. The images, like a television burn-in, where the picture remains ingrained for a few moments. My dream engrossment goes so deep. It's hard to keep my thoughts from getting caught up in those storylines. I combine pieces of puzzles from the struggles in my REM state with the way I negotiate my way through the world that those logical and sound tell me is the real one. There's a phenomenon in my dreams where it seems that I'm floating around like a feather, but I feel that I weigh a ton. And I sometimes shun the idea that my dreaming is done when that not so fun weighted feeling comes over me in the middle of some random afternoon, revealing, as the child at the oracle's house says in the Matrix, that there is in fact no spoon. Sometimes a distant melody or tune cuts through the murmur of a crowd, and it puts me into that cloudy place where every face seems like one I've seen in a distant dream or nightmare. I can't blame them for looking at me funny when I stare at them, trying to piece it all together. And unfortunately, I know from experience that I wouldn't make things any better by being honest about my curiosity. It is a true rarity for anyone to play along when a certain place with a certain face and a certain song makes you sure you've all been brought together there by a dream from long ago. So I do my best not to let it show when I'm sure I know someone from one of these eyelid movies of mine. But I've always believed there is a fine line between dream realms and whatever is at the helm of what people love to refer to as the real world. Since I was a little girl, I knew that what unfurled when I closed my eyes was more than my inventive visions. Early on, I made the decision that some of these hidden veils not only made reality pale, but were often examples of real visitations. Adults would get impatient as I described a green tiger that would hide in my closet, a village of miniature people on my pillow who could take time and pause it, a cloaked woman who would cause fits in me because she was so damn scary, and a fairly regular rotation of people who caused heart palpitations because I knew them to be deceased. The frequency of these unannounced appearances increased as I became aware that hiding under my sheets would not make them cease. And they only let me be when I learned that the only way to get them to do so was to ask them nicely. I was wisely advised by a Native American chief, beseeched by a prince from India to deliver a message to his bride-to-be, surely a delivery many centuries too late, asked to change the hands of fate by Victorian women with quaking in their dream voices about bad choices they'd made. Had beautiful harp music played for me by a ghost who couldn't see but delivered a private concert beautifully. Heard moody recitations of a wedding speech of congratulations for a bride and groom likely married 1,000 moons ago, and was bestowed the gifts of a visual clips from a history I learned more about tucked in my bed than I did in school as they fed me more diluted versions. When I would relay these facts to my parents, they were uncertain how to react because so much of what I explained was actually the way it played out. From that point on, they didn't doubt my daily dream recaps. They accepted that I had tapped into an ability not widely accepted, but they couldn't neglect it due to the undeniable accuracy of the info I stacked up at breakfast. I was affected by these nightly odysseys full of prophecies, cacophonies, complex histories, riding stormy seas, fleeing scary scenes, machines with minds of their own, animals grown to the size of buildings, skies filling with neon rainbows, slow dancing to songs from far in the past, running as fast as light, taking flight, then waking up missing the sights I saw with such a fleeting gift. That jarring shift from a whole universe you just got the hang of to a pang of sadness, realizing it only existed in your mind's eye. Or did it? My theory comes from experiences I can't possibly deny. My, those experiences you just can't deny. So, that's all I've got from this little mind's eye. My what do you call it? It's a canopy. Kind of looks like an eye up there, or a portal. Oh, the wonderings and mental meanderings of the mortal world. I often lay here, curled up in this very spot, with such rambling thoughts wondering, am I here in this spot? Or am I somewhere else? Or am I not? Have I really got what I've got? Thoughts such as this. So, speaking of which, I'm gonna go to bed soon and tune in to whatever program is here, is the sum of all the stuff I've been seeing lately, woven into a stately manor or a tiny shack or a Mary Poppins bag to unpack with things that just keep coming out of the blue. I look tired. It's true. You don't have to tell me that I don't. I know that I do. And the fact is, I am. I look as such, and I am a touch, more than a touch, tired. So, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to retire into slumber very soon. After I watch some great British baking show, of course. As you know, this is the best way to tuck yourself in at night. So hopefully that gave you some insight into my wacky, swirling, twirling mind. There's a lot to find in there. And a lot I can't define in there. And that's fine. I shan't despair. Because those who care will continue to try to understand it better. And those who don't will just say, see you later. And that'll be the end of that. That'll be the end of that. Okay. So hey, that's it. Just a little fit of word weaving about some stuff that not everybody would be believing. You know, not everyone would be believing these things that I've seen. And I could get into it all. I mentioned a lot there about my dreams, all that stuff about the green tiger. That was very real. That was in our first house, and it was super haunted. Crazy haunted. And people think that, like, oh, you were just this crazy imaginative child, and you just had wild thoughts, and none of it was real. But it wasn't like this was just Teal being wacky Teal. As soon as we left that house, you know, my dreams normaled out. I'm not saying they haven't gotten, like, super crazy weird again, but they weren't visitations like that where a green fucking tiger was coming in my room all the time. And the Native American chief, that was a real thing, and he would tell me real things about history. I think I've mentioned that before. And in that house, my parents had the same dream on the same night, and they woke up in a cold sweat, and their bed had moved into the middle of the room. Now, just because we whistle a different sort of tune as a family doesn't mean we would make up something like that just to suit our fancy. And I remember that night. I remember hearing them both scream and coming into the room like, why is your bed in the middle of the room? And they were like, we both just had a nightmare and our bed moved. And I mean, weird shit happened. We had one of those fruit cellars that opened up like, and crazy shit happened. Those little pillow people, I think I've mentioned this before, and it's okay because there's very few people who will have, by the end of this 365 deep dive, watched every poem. There's a few of you. You know who you are, and you're very special to me. You're very special to me indeed. And if I had a teacher's packet of gold stars, I would give you one, and I would put it right upon your forehead, and I would say, thank you for giving a shit about my poetry. But anyway, what I'm driving at is that it would not be absurd. It would not be an absurdity for many of thee to not have seen all of this poetry. So it's okay if I repeat some things. And I don't remember, maybe I've never talked about it. But I think I have. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And the little pillow people, there were these itty bitty tiny kind of fuzzy people. Like, when people have like a lot of peach fuzz on their face, it was like that, but that was like their whole bodies, and they wore like weird little kind of matching overalls, like they were in a cult or something. And they would come on my pillow with like pitchforks and try to get me to do weird things and like encourage me to like start fires and stuff. I'm not making this up. Like, and I never had thoughts like that again when we moved. Just like these cast of characters stirred me from my bed at night, and the cloaked woman in the closet, not okay. Not okay. And I'm not saying I didn't have any. Like, I did have ghost visitations that happened in this house, in this very room that I'm in now, that I've been in since I was like 6. But not like that. Not like that. That was a whole other thing. And I think maybe I've recanted. Recanted? Is that the right word? Who cares? I don't know. Enchanted. Planted the seeds of this story maybe before. I think I have. But at that house, the haunted house in Old Town, there was like this cute little story my parents would always tell about the pumpkin garden. We had this like garden in the back, and there was pumpkins, and I would talk to the pumpkins. But really, I was talking to spirits, to ghosts that were in the garden. And I was like, well, that probably looks odd. So I'll just pretend to be talking to the pumpkins and telling them to grow. That was like my rationale, I was like, they'll think there's something wrong with me if I'm just talking to these ghosts that are sitting out here with me. So I'll just talk to the pumpkins discreetly and sweetly and say, oh, I was just telling the pumpkins to grow. Normal child stuff. Yeah. But there was no such thing for me. But yes, a whole splendifery of very strange characters would come into my room and share things with me that I would then relay to my parents, and they would be like, I'm pretty sure that actually happened in history. Did your teachers tell you that? I'm like, no, my teachers aren't teaching me shit. My first few years of teachers were not great. They weren't great. So I was like, no, I'm not learning any of this in school. I actually can't tell you much of what I'm learning in school, but I did just learn about this battle in South Dakota and these people that died, and they were like, that happened. Like, okay, well, this chief told me to help his daughter. I think she's already gone. So, crazy stuff from long ago. Like this really one very wacky hair. There it is. Okay, so, you know what I'm gonna say, kids? You know what I'm gonna say? You already know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say, let's come back tomorrow for some more poetry. Trucking right along. We're trucking right along. We're trucking right along. We're trucking right along in the poetry song. So, come on down, and I'll do more. And there's my toes. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe I'll even bring these tootsies along. Maybe I'll write a whole damn poem about them. I never know. You guys think I know. You might think like, oh, she's got this whole 365 thing all planned out. No, a lot of days I'm like running around the house shouting, going, I don't know what to do. What am I going to write about? I have so many self-doubts. And I just bust it out. Bust it out because I've set a goal and I'm going to frickin' meet it. We're this deep down the rabbit hole. We're going to go there. Till we're staring at the face of 365 and I say, oh, jump and jive. We've made it. Until that point. Even when I hate it. But usually I love it. I mostly love it. There's some days where I'm like, I don't have a fucking thing to say. I don't know how to rhyme it. I don't know how to time it. I don't know how to sound clever. I don't know how to make it any better. I suck. But most of the time, I love yucking it up with y'all. I love letting my thoughts just fall onto the page and seeing if you'll join me. So keep doing it. Keep joining me. It means a lot to me. And I'll see ya tomorrow. Good night. Sleep tight. Sweet dreams.